Live from the GSN studios in Grafton, West Virginia, it's The Huddle.
And we're live at the GSN studios. Welcome back to the Hudl podcast. Today is the 2nd of August, and it's the 3rd episode. I'm your host, Parker Biller, joined by co-host and very good friend, Noah Flea Foley.
Make sure you guys go check out last week's episode where we sat down with Grafton football players, got their take on this upcoming season.
Yeah, it was really good. And, really great episode. First ever
special.
There you go.
Guest.
First ever special guest on the Hudl podcast. Hopefully more to come soon. So, Flea, it's still the summer and it's the off season for a lot of Grafton sports, but there's still a lot to talk about, and there's a lot going on in the country right now, a lot going on with the Olympics, so we're kind of going to be all over the place today talking about a lot of different things. But we did have some people reach out to us and ask us a little bit like why we didn't talk about certain sports, which is our fault, and we can't fit everything into one episode. So today we're going to take a look at a few more with soccer and softball. So Flea, you play soccer for the men's team, and tell us a little bit about boys and girls soccer.
So last year we had a really good record of 13-8-1, and we always had that chip on our shoulder last season. No one really thought we were going to exceed expectations, but we for sure did, because we came off that state's run, 14-5-5, really good record in the state. We were a respected team, still are a respected team, and had a really good year. But we are losing some key pieces this year in Adrian Joyce, Jude Menard, Justin Gaynor, Alex Himes, and of course Landon Huntley, one of the best midfielders in the state last season.
You guys are losing a lot of people this year.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, a lot of big key playmakers, and soccer's been one of these sports for Grafton that's been, for the past 20 years, it's been really consistent. I feel like boys and girls both, because the girls, they went 9-11-1. They were 8th in the Big Ten, and it's a testament to these Grafton coaches of how good they can do, and with Coach Knight and Coach Lorraine Eisner, which we're going to talk about right now, because Coach Arthur Knight is taking over the Lorraine Eisner program for the girls. He's now going to be the coach of the boys and the girls team. How do you think that's going to affect him?
That's gonna really help him in the long run, I think, because he's a really good coach. Mm-hmm. He's gonna make their mentality a lot better. Yeah, he's gonna make them work hard, make them better. Mm-hmm. Just make them a way better.
And program. Lorraine, she had a great run. She brought them to states a few times. Did they win the state championship?
No, they might have won. Actually, I think they did win it like her first year here.
I think they did too, and but we have great coaches at Grafton High School that we're trying to get across. So talk to me a little bit about some of these girls for their upcoming talent for soccer. I know we have Hadley Horn and Jenna.
Yeah, of course, but their senior class this year, they're definitely gonna have a strong year, I think, because they have, like you said, Hadley Horn, Jenna Charlton, Claire McCarthy, Izzy Carroll, Reagan Knight, and McKenna Semple. That's a really good 6 players to have. Violet Rubenstein also.
Yeah, it is.
That's a really good core players to have, so the young players can grow on that.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see a lot more soccer from us, because that's something that we both love. We have a passion for soccer. So definitely more to come when their season starts happening. I'm going to take a look at softball, because that's a sport we haven't talked about yet. And softball had a really good year this year. They saw a lot of player development, and in total they went 16-11. They didn't make it to the postseason, but it was a good year for them. They learned a lot, and lots of young players got to see the field as well. But of course, they were led by now senior pitcher Lily Krim. She was supposed to join us today. She was not able to, so hopefully we will have to sit down with her soon and get her on the podcast. But nonetheless, this Bearcat team went 11-8 with Krim as their starting pitcher.
Very good.
And
very good record.
It was very good, and she led the team with 4 home runs. And you can tell that she understands this game, and she is a leader, and she loves this game.
Everyone rallies behind her. You need that one player on your team.
They do. And also, not to mention that she was named the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, which is a great accomplishment for her. We're going to talk more about her when she comes on the podcast. So right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the team. And some of the freshmen I was really impressed with this year were players like Ruth Horn and Lydia Wildrout. So Lydia offensively had 43 at-bats with a 302 batting average, and Ruth 67 at-bats with a 313 batting average. Those are really good numbers for freshmen.
Really good numbers for a freshman. And they're just going to grow from here. Yeah. They're not just going to plateau. They're going to make sure they grow.
Exactly. And they love the game, and they're excited to play, I think, as well. Mm-hmm. However, we did lose a significant amount of seniors this year for softball, more than I like to see, because we did have a really good softball team this year. Players like Maddie Shaver, Jade Hall, Savannah Whitecoff, those are just to name a few, but that impact is definitely going to be felt this year. But I think it's shaping up to be a pretty good season, and we're excited to see where it's going to go from here. We'll definitely do some more reporting on it, and we'll dive more into that when we sit down with Lily sometime. But right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us on The Huddle. And we're back on The Huddle, taking a look at something very timely, something that only happens once every 4 years, the Olympics.
Yeah, so the medal count, what everyone looks at. Mm-hmm. China is in the lead right now with 12 gold. Yeah. Right behind them is us, the USA, with 9, but we have the most total, 41 medals.
That's crazy.
And China has 27.
Wow.
And we're not in first place. That's insane.
It is insane. And they do so good at the Olympic sports. I mean, at diving and everything. They're just so poised.
Yeah. Because U.S. is like a powerhouse sport. They have basketball, gymnastics, swimming. Mm-hmm. China gets those gold medals from the sports no one really watches.
They do, and it's tough.
Like shooting, rowing, they're really good. And then tied with us is Great Britain with 9 gold, and then right behind them is France with 8.
Well, that's pretty good. That's not too bad. Tell me a little bit about Simone Biles,
Simone Biles, 2 gold medals already in this Olympics, and she's having really a comeback year. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah, that's what she said it was, and I tell you, I don't know how you flip 12 feet in the air.
Yeah, and you're 5 foot.
That's insane. It's crazy, and she is amazing to watch. And that USA gymnast team is very good, and we've always been good at it, I think, and the basketball team as well. So, Flea, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Hall of Fame game last night?
I unfortunately watched one quarter. Of the game.
Well, you missed a good game because it was actually one of the best preseason games that I've seen personally.
I heard it got rained out though.
It did get rained out. The Bears won, but there was so much good offense played from the backup quarterbacks. They did such a great job. It was a great way to kick off football. And speaking of kicking off, that was the main focus of last night's game, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Are these new NFL kickoff rules?
Really excited for this one.
Yeah, it's okay. It's very confusing. I had to print off a whole packet. So
it's like XFL, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It's based off the UFL, and I would recommend go watching a video just to see it because it's hard to describe in this. So I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna read you these rules here, Flea, and what they say. So the NFL is calling this their dynamic kickoff, and this is to combat the 22% of kickoffs last year were returned. So that's the lowest in NFL history. And this is also going to help prevent full collision injuries, which I
really respect that.
I do, and I think this new kickoff is going to be good. I think it's going to be something to look forward to. So I'm going to read you the rules. The kickoff team is no longer allowed to begin to run as soon as the ball is kicked. Instead, they can only begin running down the field once the ball is caught by a returner or hits the ground. So once you kick, the player has to have the receiver has to have possession of the ball, or it has to hit the ground before you can go. So that's going to be tough getting used to.
Yeah, those players, you might see some penalties from those players.
There was a lot last night. You saw them jumping around. And it's going to be hard for everyone to get used to it as well.
Even the refs.
Yeah. So another thing that's new is on kickoffs, there's something called the landing zone. And it's the new name between the goal line and the 20-yard line. And any kick that lands short of the 20-yard line is treated like a ball kicked out of bounds, and the receiving team gets possession at the 40-yard line.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But that's a big penalty. So kicks that land in the end zone, they are treated similarly to how they were previously. The return team can either down the ball in the end zone and get possession at the 30-yard line instead of the 25, or they can, try to take it out.
Yeah.
So if you take a kneel in the end zone, you're going to the 30, not the 25.
That 5-yard difference could actually change some stuff.
It is. So kickers have got to look at this in a different way. Instead of kicking it, in the back of the end zone, kicking it in the end zone, they've got to try to aim for the goal line, for the landing zone.
That's what they're trying to do, too, for more returns. That's
exactly.
Really smart.
And additionally, kickoffs that go out of the back of the end zone, like we just said, are treated as a touchback and result in possession at the 30-yard line. So really, there's no incentive to kick out of the end zone anymore. You shouldn't be doing that.
Kickers are just, they might, I won't say use their leg power less, but that's most likely what
they're probably going to have to. And the landing zone, so if it's kicked in the landing zone as well, it's got to be returned by the kicking team.
So you can't just like kneel. If you knee down, you're like at the 2-yard line. You said.
Yeah, basically. So you have to actually return.
I like that rule actually.
I do too. And here's another thing. It gets even more confusing. So if the kickoff lands in the landing zone and then bounces into the end zone, the receiving team can down it and receive possession at the 20-yard line. So really, if you're thinking about this, you want to kick it into this landing zone. There's a chance of it bouncing and going in the end zone, and you put them back at the 20.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways you can look at this.
They're making kickoffs way more strategized. Than
they are, and I actually really like that because, last year in the NFL, there was hardly any kick returns.
Yeah.
So hopefully this new rule, people are going to start to understand it better. We hope that you guys can understand it better as much as we do. So,
and like we said, go watch a video on this. They probably explain it better.
They do, and we're trying. So there's also 3 other new rules that I want to look at, and I do really like these rules. So teams now receive a third challenge if they are successful on one of their first 2 challenges.
See, if I'm a coach, that's my favorite rule in the whole NFL right there, because you can be way more aggressive now and go for challenges, because just say, even if you lose your first, you can win your second, get another one back.
Exactly, and I totally agree with you, Philly. That was a good take. And ruling of a passer down by contact or out of bounds before throwing a pass is now reviewable. This is going to change a lot of games. This is something that people have been wanting to be reviewed
for years now.
And it's really going to, I think, change the game. Both these rules are going to change the game a lot.
And you should see some heated fan bases and fans too.
Definitely. And it's just like the little changes too.
Yeah.
So here's a bigger change that's going to affect the game is the new onside kick rules. And this is one that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll read it for you. So onside kicks are now only permitted to occur in the fourth quarter, which is fine. I mean, that's not
a really good rule, I think.
The team planning to onside kick must declare their intention to officials, and only a team trailing is allowed to declare for an onside kick.
See, 2 of those rules, like, they sit with me well. Like the declaring, not the declaring, that's on me. The having to go up to the ref, I did not like that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, you're not going to see any more Pat McAfee's where the fake onside kick, like you don't see it coming. No more of that anymore, and that's kind of sad to me. But it's not like anyone onside kicks anymore nowadays. It's so rare to see it. And the success rate is really small too.
But the fourth quarter one and the team trailing, I really like that rule because there's not really a point to kicking the first 3 quarters or when you're winning.
I do too, and there's lots of changes in the NFL this year. It's going to be an interesting season to see how all of these play out. So, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us. And we're back on the huddle about wrapping things up. Flea, tell us a little bit about WVU sports and what's going on.
Yeah, so big week for WVU basketball, actually. They just got their non-conference schedule, which is a pretty big part. Fans are loving it. But our first game, it's not really a game. It's an exhibition game. It's against Charleston.
We should go to one of those.
Yeah, it's here at August 18th, so around Halloween. And then our first real game, non-conference, is November 4th against Robert Morris here. Mm-hmm. I don't really know anything about them.
Me neither.
These 3 next teams actually, UMass, Pitt, and Iona. That's a pretty hard 3-game stretch for non-conference because we lost to UMass last year. Mm-hmm. Pitt, always a good game, backyard brawl.
That's going to be a tough game at Pitt. That's going to be really hard.
ACC crowd.
Yeah.
And then Iona, they always make the tournament, it seems
They do, and I'm always impressed with them. So.
Yeah.
Darren DeVries, it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to work this year without, Coach Huggins and, pay a little tribute to him here. We got JC and Dax on the wall here too. 2 of
the West Virginia goats.
Yeah, the legends. I miss them very much. But it's a new era for the team, and it's going to be interesting to see how.
To add on about DeVries, his recruiting has been great.
It has been really good. Too. I've been really impressed with that.
Oh yeah, he's got a good coaching staff around him, good recruits, good young crew. Should be a pretty successful rebuilding season. And then this is the hard part of the non-conference schedule, the Battle for Atlantis. Mm-hmm. It's a tournament. There's Arizona, Davidson, Gonzaga, Oklahoma, Indiana, Louisville, and Providence, and of course West Virginia.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams.
And say you win that tournament, you get a lot. You get a lot of like what's the word I'm trying
publicity?
to find? Yeah, publicity mostly.
I think I've heard of that before, but that's going to be tough.
I'm pretty sure we played in it a few years ago.
I think we
3
did.
or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
With Miles McBride and them. And then December 6th, the Big East battle. We play no other than Georgetown.
I miss the Big East,
Old
man.
Big East rival.
I miss that so much.
And then December 10th, we got North Carolina Central here. These games are here, by the way, except for Pitt. And then December 14th, we got Bethune E. Cookman here.
Bethany?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Never heard of it in my life.
That's all right.
And the last non-conference game, December 22nd, is Mercyhurst here at West Virginia, 3 days before Christmas.
So I think that's a pretty mixed
yeah
non-conference schedule. There's some good teams. There's some
teams we never heard of.
Yeah. So,
but I really like that he's scheduling these teams we've never heard of, because just think of how hard our conference schedule is.
It's the Big 12 is changing a lot.
There's what, 16 teams now?
Yes, and I think as collegiate sports altogether are emerging, there's really 3 big conferences: the Big 10, SEC, Big 12.
Yeah,
that's the main. That's the main.
ACC's in there once in a while, but not
yeah, but it's going to be hard to play in the Big 12. It's going to be one of the toughest conferences. So,
and we got Arizona too. They were ranked number 1 for a while.
They were.
Colorado made the tournament. Arizona State.
Basketball is going to be tough for us this year.
They will.
But we will definitely do more reporting on that. Closing things up, Flea, did you know that the Cleveland Browns were actually practicing at the Greenbrier?
I heard about it, but I didn't really know much about it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They had their, I think it was a 5-day training camp down there at the Greenbrier. They have a really nice facility down there. I think we've had the New Orleans Saints up there too.
Yeah, and New Orleans Saints were there a few years ago.
Yeah, and it's a really great place that they made there, and happy to see that in West Virginia.
Yeah,
locally. So, without further ado, I think that's all the time we have for today. So, thank you for watching the Hudl podcast. Tune in next week, hopefully. I don't know. I might have my wisdom teeth out. I don't know if I can do it next week. We'll see. We'll let you know on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok, by the way. So, Flip, thanks for coming today, buddy. It was a good day, good episode. Thank you for watching the 3rd episode of the Hudl. We will see you next time. God bless. Thank you.